EcoWatch, thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, my very first guest is the Chief Conservator of Forest. I love that name. Maybe what is the qualification of becoming one? Because I know it's about forest conservation. Julius Kamau, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'll start with that. Because the uniform conservation of forest, what are the qualifications if I want to become one? And can I?
Yes. First, you have to have the passion towards nature. And also that has to be measured through a qualification of having a bachelor's degree in forestry, but also perhaps another additional master's degree in related field. Then with that combination, you could perhaps have a chance of becoming the Kenya Forestry #1.
And share your uniform or get mine.
Yes, and then undergoing some certain trainings. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this day that the world is celebrating the Rainforest Day. Maybe let's begin with, why is this day important? I know rainforest conservation and climate change, they just go along. You know, maybe let's talk about the importance of the World Rainforest Day.
I think it's a very important day, and it's a day that is set out by the nations and the community of nations to allow the communities of people and nations and the globe and the world to mark this day in terms of celebrating this day, and more so important, to encourage some actions that go towards protecting our rainforests in the world. And basically, as we speak, initially the rainforest normally occupied about 14%, but that has reduced to about 6% of the Earth surface, and therefore it tells you they are at a serious threat, and therefore it's important for the nations, and for this case the Kenyans now, to protect the rainforest that we have in the country, because of the critical role they play in terms of ecological. They are more of like the thermostat for the earth in terms of controlling and regulating the temperatures. They also are very good in terms of regulating the rainfall regimes, because they have a capacity of allowing 50% of the rains that fall in the canopies to go back to evapotranspiration to form orange.
Right. When you talk about reduction from 14% to 6%, is it in Kenya, globally, and is that why Kenya is on the road to getting to the recommended 10%?
Yeah, that is globally. That's globally, that is what has happened. But also in the country, as we speak, also they have faced similar threats. So even in the country, we also have some reduction on the rainforests, and that's why it's critical to actually now using this platform also, thanks to Kenya, KBC, because this is one way of creating awareness to the millions of Kenyans, wherever they are, to make sure that they protect these forest resources, because they are critical to the environment and also to their own life being.
And as we speak as a country, how many gazetted hectares of forest do we have? What are we talking about?
Yeah, if we draw that to our mandate as a Kenya Forest Service, I would say that we are, on the premise of the Forest Conservation Management Act, we are supposed to take care of about 2.59 million hectares of public forests. And beyond that also, we have a mandate to work together with the county government in terms of providing the technical capacity to the county government to be able to manage another 1.7 million hectares of the community forest under their jurisdiction. Beyond that, of course, we know there are private forests, also in individual farms, and also the county government and ourselves have a role to ensure that those forests also are managed in a sustainable way.
The 2.5 million, is it sufficient? Because I know we always see the top 10, largest rainforest. We have Amazon. Is it enough to place us as a country on the global level? And maybe what are some of the hindrances to achieving that?
I think first of all, we have to appreciate that we have unique rainforests in Kenya, which are of global importance because they host some specific wildlife and flora which are unique to this country. And for example, is the Kakamega forest. It is the only remaining what we call the Guinea Congorian kind of an ecosystem that is used to run a belt from the coast of West Africa to the East Africa, and therefore it's a unique ecosystem. We also have other tropical rainforests in the country, and it's not enough. It's not enough because we need to create more space for forestry because of what it has to do to maintain a health integrity that can sustain life in the country. As you may appreciate that we normally draw our water from the water catchment areas, and these are the 5 major water towers, and therefore this country is a water scarce country, and therefore we have to broaden the spaces for forest conservation to ensure that we supply enough water for the country, but also more so provide mitigation measures between extreme weather conditions of floods and also drought. And because forestry create a very good mitigation factor between swinging from one disaster to another disaster. And that also speaks to the issues of the climate change and the impact that we face. And therefore, we as a country have to grow this forest cover to more than 10%, I would believe, to be able to sustain life and livelihoods of the Kenyan people, and also with our own wildlife that we normally have as a country.
And you'll shortly tell us how we'll be able to do that. But when we talk about rainforest, is it a normal forest? What kind of a forest is this? I know you've mentioned the importance of it, but let's re-emphasize on why it's important for a country to pride itself in having such forests.
I think one of the thing of a rainforest is that is a forest that gives us the best of the ecological importance or ecological benefit, social benefit, cultural benefit, and also economic benefit. In a sense, the rainforest would have 4 segments. It would have what we call the emergent layer. The emergent layer is the tallest trees that would have possibly go to about 60 meters. Below that, you have the canopy. This is what makes you not see the ground if you are possibly flying over forest. And then under that, you will have what you call the other canopy cover, and then you have the forest floor. When you have this combination of these ecosystems within that forest ecosystem, it will give you the optimal benefit, both in terms of biodiversity that you may have, both flora and fauna. It allows you to possibly ecologically control the environment in terms of the climate, because it absorbs carbon dioxide in a major way. It also allows you to control the rain regime, because 50% of the rainfall that falls does not go in terms of runoff. It's actually go back in terms of evapotranspiration, which allow the rain regime to come in. And if you look at, for example, to break it to the Kenyan people, if you look at the Kakamega forest, it has a linkage with the lake basin, and it is the one that controls the rain regime between that western region. And most of the time you will see that we have rain in the western regime controlled and regulated by this kind of a critical ecosystem.
And it's true to say that the rainforests are actually the lungs of the planet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So what does it mean if a country is not preserving, the rainforest? How dangerous can that be for a country?
It's very dangerous, because what we are now compromising, as I supposed to talk about, is the issue of the climate regime. You have extreme weather, you have extended drought, and you don't have the rains. The other one would be the issue of the source of rain from these areas, because then it means that in a country, when it is dry, you have what we call seasonal rain, rivers, which means you cannot sustain our lives, especially when there is a dry period. Therefore, this is what we are compromising. The other thing we compromise is the diversity of animals and plants that we have in a country. For example, in Kakamega forest, about 10% to 20% of the tree species and animal species found there are not found anywhere else in the world. And therefore, it offers a country to be strategic with regards to what we call research tourism and also the confectional tourism, for people traveling across the country, outside the country, to come and see these unique, kind of animal species. For example, in Kakamega, we have what we call the Kaimosi blind snake. People possibly not have it anywhere else. You have the Coloba's white and black monkey found there. You have the red-tailed monkey found there. You have very, very beautiful butterflies found there. So what we will be compromising is that we will be giving away our ecotourism potential for the country. We'll be giving away the ecological system that support our agricultural system. We'll be giving away the water system that support us for what we need to take for drinking, for irrigation, for hydropower, and for manufacturing in a country. And therefore, we should not lose that, because if you look at the Big Four agenda, the enabling environment is linked to how healthy our forest ecosystem is. And therefore, if we don't have a strong foundation with a proper environmental integrity, then actually you collapse the economy. You collapse all the agenda that we may have, and therefore that's why we must be able to reinvest our mind, take individual action, protect this ecosystem to protect our own lives.
And there have been a lot of conversations about climate change. The devolution conference is coming up, and the theme is about climate change. Maybe is it one of the achievements by the Kenya Forest Service that you get conversations going, and even the president says that maybe one of his agenda is to have Kenya attain the 10% forest cover. Let's talk about some of the achievements, and are you happy about that? 2 million, trees by county governments by August?
Yeah, I think what we are happy about, and we must pride ourselves as Kenya Forest Service, is that we have been able to change the conversation. We have been able to get many Kenyans to work with us. We have been able to create awareness among Kenyans to know the importance of trees and the importance of forest. Indeed, it's not about Kenyans, also partners, and as you say, the county government. And if you look at how we are organized as Kenya Forest Service, in every county we have an ecosystem conservator and also someone who provide advisory and linkage between ourselves and the county government. Remember also we sign what we call transition implementation plan between Kenya Forest Service and the county government. So far, about 35 counties have signed those plans, and now we are encouraging the other 12 remaining to sign with us. This will provide a very good environment. For the purpose of the conference that is coming on, and we are working together with the county governments. In fact, in most of the areas that you see planting of trees in the several counties that have been cited, mostly in the ASA areas, we have been working together with the county government to ensure that this commitment is met. And therefore, we are interested and we are very happy that the conversation about forest conservation has gotten to the highest level of government. It has gotten the attention, and with that we are able to create a mass of Kenyan people who can become ambassadors of conservation. And that is what we must be able to tell them. The future belongs to them. The young generation must take up this baton of conservation so that we preserve and we ensure that the gains we are having today are also met and they are also supplied to the future generations. Yes.
Allow me to take you back. Are we able to get to the 10% by maybe 2022, because that's the president's agenda? Or what are some of the setbacks to protecting the forest?
I think one of the starting point is that we have now a national strategy on 10% tree cover. This is a strategy that brings all the stakeholders together. All of us has a part to play. The national government has a part to play. The Kenya Forest Service has a role to play. The county government has. The schools have, and every other private sector and other agencies of government. We all can do something, including your individual actions at your household level. It is not, it's a question of getting 10%. It's a conversation that we must say, it's my individual action, it's my individual step that will take us there. Kenya Forest Service possibly would be the steward. It will provide that kind of a support, but we believe that we're working with the communities, individuals, and the entire government at all levels, we should be able to surpass the 10% tree cover.
The country is joining the world to mark the Rainforest Day. Maybe what are some of the things that we can pride ourselves with as a country, and maybe what's your call to the country, the conservators like you, and everybody, because it's a collective responsibility and efforts that will be able to attain the 10% and even beyond that.
Very true. Yes. I think we have used many approaches. One of it has been the tree planting and the tree growing campaign. But two, as Kenya Forest Service, we have been able to reclaim some of the public forests that are in the wrong hands, possibly irregularly occupied. And this far, we have been able to reclaim about 55,000 hectares of forest that were initially not in our hands. They were irregularly occupied, but now they are in our hands. Talk about the Mau, where we have been able to reclaim about 14,000 hectares. The Cheptais in Mount Elgon, about 7,000 hectares. In Samburu, Kirisere-Rogi Forest, reclaiming about 30,000 hectares. This is a major milestone. And what we are now doing is converting this forest land, which was bare, to back to the full canopy, and therefore that to us is a very big contribution towards the movement of rainforest celebration and marking that. Beyond that also is we have been able to gazette about 109,000 hectares, which forests were in other jurisdiction, but now they are classified as public gazetted forest. These are some of the things that we have been able to do. Beyond that, we have been able to engage with the communities, because unless we engage with the forest adjacent communities and we turn them to be our allies in conservation, we cannot be able to achieve. And therefore, we have gone out of actually investing some livelihood support programs with the forest adjacent communities, and they have perceived now Kenya Forest Service as a partner. And that way, they are able to help us to protect the remaining forest, but more so influence change their behavior to also plant trees on their own farmland. And we have seen many Kenyans interested and joining us through the Adopt a Forest framework, where a partner would come to us, we give them the space, they plant the trees and grow the trees for 3-5 years, and then return that area to us. And we have seen so far about 30 ministries, departments, agencies of government who have come and adopted a piece of a forest. About 22 or more private sector have also joined hands in us. And therefore, we are encouraging all people in this country to know that we have a responsibility to plant and grow trees for our own behalf and for the generations to come, so that we can put this country in a environmentally integrity position for sustainable development.
And the campaign is gaining momentum. I must appreciate that. Maybe are we looking at some, reforms at the Kenya Forest Service to just ensure that we achieve this, by the time that you've been able to set?
Yes, we have just set a very paradigm reforms in the Kenya Forest Service. One of it is the governance structure and how we engage with the communities and other partners. So we have trained and encouraged our field officers to now look at it from a perspective of engagement and the strength in engagement. The other thing also is we have developed new HR instruments. This is a human resource instrument to make sure that we have good number of officers joining us, but also doing what they should do and the right places. And I think the culture of also moving from the issue of unethical behavior to ethical behavior, so that as a country and as a staff of Kenya Forest Service, we can deliver the commitment that we have been given the mandate by the government and the people of Kenya. And so far, we have seen even the image and the perception of Kenyans on the Kenya Forest Service and what we are doing has also gained momentum. And that's why we have many partners who are coming and knocking a door to us to work with us. If we were not performing, possibly we wouldn't have someone approaching us. But now the demand is there. And I think also we have done a major shift in terms of revamping our tree nurseries across the country. They were not in a very good situation, but now we are saying that you go to every station, you will see some seedlings that you can possibly buy, and we can engage together and we can plant them. And therefore, those are some of the things that we pride as Kenya Forest Service, that we are now becoming a center of excellence based on knowledge to drive this country to having sustainable forest management. And we thank the media and we thank the Kenyan public for actually joining hands and working with us and even giving us information that help us to protect our forest resources, because we have threats in every day on our territories, but we have community members volunteering information, and we want to encourage Kenyans wherever they are. If they see an illegality, let them engage with us, and we're able to deter that, and also let them help us and complement each other to putting this country to where it should be.
Absolutely, and we wish you all the best. Honestly, we do, and thank you so much, Julius Kamau, the Chief Conservator of Forest. You are actually our first guest tonight with a new revamp, so it's a great pleasure to have you tonight.
We are honored too, and thank you so much, and wishing KBC all the best as we move forward.
Thank you so much, and of course that brings us to the end of our conversation tonight. Thank you for watching. We are taking a quick commercial break. When we return, business news is up next. Stay with us.